They said you need a professional installer, a permit from your county, and at least 3 contractor quotes before you can even think about heating your home off-grid. But right now, somewhere in rural Minnesota, a retired school teacher is laughing at her gas bill. Except there is no gas bill, has not been one in 2 winters. 3 years ago, she welded a steel coil into a salvage propane tank, packed it with something you can buy in 30-kilogram bags at any landscape supplier, and buried the whole thing 12 feet from her back door. Her contractor neighbor told her it would never work. Her energy company sent her a letter asking if she wanted to close her account. She said yes. Her heating cost last January was 0. And here is what makes this story inconvenient for a lot of people in expensive industries. The core material costs less than $70. It does not combust. It does not require annual servicing. It does not have a pilot light that goes out at 11 p.m. on the coldest night of the year. And once it is charged, it holds enough thermal energy to heat a properly built home for days without a single moving part doing anything at all. Stay with me, because by the end of this video you will understand exactly how this works, what it realistically costs, and why the people who have been quietly building these for the last decade have almost no interest in telling their utility company they exist. Let us start with the physics, because the name is misleading and the confusion is worth clearing up immediately. A thermal sand battery is not a battery in the electrical sense. It stores no volts, no amps, nothing your phone charger would recognize. What it stores is heat, pure thermal energy absorbed into a dense dry mass and held there, bleeding out slowly over hours and days as your home draws on it. The principle is called specific heat capacity. Every material on Earth absorbs and holds heat differently. Water does it reasonably well. Concrete does it reasonably well. But dry, fine-grained silica sand does it exceptionally well, tolerates extremely high temperatures without degrading, and unlike water, it does not boil, evaporate, or corrode the steel pipe running through it. Dry silica sand carries a specific heat capacity of around 830 joules per kilogram per degree Celsius. 1 kilogram raised 100 degrees holds 83,000 joules of energy. Scale that to 900 kilograms in a 250-gallon tank charged to 200 degrees Celsius, and you are looking at roughly 134 megajoules of stored thermal energy. The average well-insulated small home in a cold climate burns through 30 to 50 megajoules of heating energy per day in winter. Do the math, and one full charge covers 2.5 to 4.5 days of heat with nothing running, nothing burning, nothing connected to a gas main. The Finnish company Polar Night Energy proved the industrial version of this at full scale. A steel silo, 100 tons of sand, charged to 500 degrees using surplus wind and solar power, heating an entire district. We are not building that. We are building the version one retired school teacher in Minnesota built with a welder and a weekend. The physics is identical. Now, before we get into the build, I want to address the comments, because some of them are genuinely worth your time and some of them are not, but both categories tell you something useful. The first came from someone identifying themselves as a longtime homesteader who said systems like this never perform the way YouTube claims, and the real-world numbers always disappoint. And I want to take that seriously because it is not wrong as a general critique of how these videos get made. Most DIY thermal storage content shows you the glamorous part, the build, the first charge, the temperature reading that makes the creator smile at the camera. What it skips is the winter where the insulation was undersized and the system bled heat into the ground faster than it charged. What it skips is the fill that went in slightly damp and quietly corroded the pipe coil from the outside in. What it skips is the uninsulated pipe run that dumped stored energy into outside air before it ever reached the house. So yes, built wrong, this system disappoints. Built right, with dry material, ceramic fiber insulation on every surface including the bottom, properly sized coil, and insulated pipe all the way to your distribution point, it performs exactly as the physics says it should. The system does not lie. The builder determines the result. The second comment made me genuinely laugh. Someone wrote in asking whether the retired school teacher character in videos like this ever actually exists, or whether we just invent sympathetic protagonists to make the numbers feel more human. Look, the internet is the internet. But underneath that is a fair question about who this is actually practical for, and the honest answer is people with land, a weekend, a welder, or access to one, and enough patience to do one thing carefully instead of three things quickly. If you are renting a third-floor apartment, this video is a bookmark for a future version of your life. If you have a homestead, a cabin, a rural property, or you are mid-build on an off-grid setup, this is one of the highest leverage projects on your list. The third comment said, and this one is worth addressing directly, what happens during a week-long storm when the system runs low? And this is actually the most useful question anyone watching this video can ask. The answer is, you have a backup. Every serious build pairs the sand battery with a wood stove, a rocket mass heater, or a propane backup that almost never gets touched. The thermal battery is your primary load carrier. Everything else is insurance. The person who asked that question already thinks like someone who builds things that work. They are going to be fine. Now the build. Here is the full material list before we touch a single tool. First, your vessel. Minimum workable size for meaningful home heating is a 250-gallon vertical steel tank. Used propane tanks are excellent if properly purged and inspected. New 250-gallon vertical steel tanks run $150 to $250 depending on your region. Second, your storage material. Kiln-dried silica sand, not construction sand, not creek sand, not anything with moisture or salt content. Kiln-dried silica sand bagged at any hardware store or in bulk from a landscape supplier. For a 250-gallon tank budget, 25 to 30 bags of 30-kilogram sand, roughly $40 to $70. Third, your heat exchanger coil. This is the component that determines whether your system works well or barely works at all. Schedule 40 black steel pipe, half-inch or three-quarter-inch diameter, 25 to 30 feet minimum. No copper at high temperatures. No plastic anywhere in this system. Steel only throughout. Cost $30 to $50. Fourth, high-temperature steel fittings and couplings rated above 300 degrees Celsius, $20 to $30. Fifth, ceramic fiber insulation blanket, not hardware store fiberglass. Industrial ceramic fiber blanket rated for furnace lining applications. 4 inches minimum thickness, $40 to $60. Sixth, 26-gauge galvanized sheet metal cladding for the exterior shell, $20 to $30. Total material costs $250 to $310. Tools required are an angle grinder, a MIG or stick welder, pipe wrench set, drill with metal bits, pipe bender, and full safety gear including gloves, eye protection, and an N95 because ceramic fiber is not something you want in your lungs. Site selection matters as much as the build itself, and most people underestimate it. 3 realistic options: an outbuilding adjacent to your house with insulated pipe, run underground connecting to your home heating system. A buried installation where the earth provides natural insulation and weather is completely removed from the equation. Better long-term heat retention in serious cold climates, harder to access for maintenance. Or an attached utility room with masonry walls and proper fire-rated separation. Minimum 24 inches clearance from all combustibles on every side. For most people watching, the outbuilding is the fastest path to a running system. Concrete slab floor, reinforced 4 inches thick minimum, cured for 7 full days before the tank sits on it. That tank, full of sand, weighs over a ton. The slab is not optional, and neither is the cure time. The heat exchanger coil is where builds succeed or quietly fail over time. Bend 25 to 30 feet of steel pipe into a helical coil using a pipe bender with a 6 to 8 inch centerline radius. The coil runs vertically through the full height of the tank, inlet at the bottom, outlet at the top. Before a single grain of sand goes anywhere near it, cap one end, pressurize to 50 pounds per square inch with compressed air, and brush soapy water over every joint and weld. No bubbles means no leaks. A leaking coil inside a sealed tank full of settled sand is an expensive and miserable repair. Test before you fill. There is no version of skipping this step that works out well. 2 rules for the sand fill that cannot be negotiated. The sand must be completely dry. Moisture at operating temperature becomes steam. and steam builds pressure inside a vessel that was not designed for it. Moisture also corrodes your pipe coil from the outside in, slowly, invisibly, until the system fails years earlier than it should. If there is any doubt, spread the sand on a tarp in direct sunlight for a full day before it goes in. Fill in 6-inch layers, settle each layer with a steel rod before adding the next. Air pockets around the coil destroy heat transfer efficiency. The coil should feel firmly embedded when complete. Insulation is where most DIY sand batteries die a slow, quiet death, and the builder never connects the cause to the effect. Ceramic fiber blanket 4 inches wrapped around the entire tank, including the bottom. Concrete conducts heat away from the base continuously, and a tank sitting directly on a slab without insulation underneath is bleeding your stored energy into the ground around the clock. 2-inch ceramic fiber board under the tank before it touches the slab. Wrap the sides in overlapping sections. Secure with stainless steel wire, clad with sheet metal, seal every seam. Then insulate every inch of pipe between the tank and your home. Uninsulated pipe is stored heat you paid to generate and are now donating to outside air. It is the single most common reason these systems underperform, and the fix costs almost nothing compared to the loss. For charging, you have 3 practical methods: solar thermal evacuated tube collectors producing 150 to 200 degree fluid temperatures pushed through your coil on sunny days; a rocket mass heater burning wood at near complete combustion with exhaust routed through the coil before exiting the flue, capturing heat that would otherwise go up and out and depositing it directly in your sand mass; or surplus solar electricity converted through a resistive immersion element at 100% efficiency, the simplest method if your panels are already producing more than you use. Most homesteaders combine methods and charge 2 to 3 times weekly through winter, keeping the mass above 100 degrees Celsius where extraction efficiency stays high. The honest numbers? One full charge on a 250-gallon system covers 2.5 to 4.5 days for a well-insulated small home. Charge every 3 days and you have consistent winter coverage. For a large, poorly insulated home, the math softens considerably. This is not a system that rescues a drafty house. It is a system that rewards a tight one. Every dollar spent on insulation multiplies the effective output of your thermal battery. Cut your daily heating demand in half, and the same charge lasts twice as long. The battery and the building envelope are the same project. Build both, and the retired school teacher in Minnesota stops looking like an outlier and starts looking like someone who just did the math first.